Hey there creators and sign makers, many of you asked about the offset file for this sign, and in today's video I'll show you how I created the offset letters and how I got the holes to match perfectly. Check it out. First we're going to make the artboard to the size of the sign you're making. I had 3 boards that were making up the sign, so I used 3 rectangles as a mock-up. Next I made a new layer and locked the bottom layer so that I don't accidentally move the background. On the new layer, I selected the text tool and added my text. When selecting a font, you want to make sure to pick the font with the right thickness for the screws that you're planning to use. Before creating the offset letters and adding the holes, make sure that the lettering is exactly the way you want it to be on the sign. I'll explain why at the end of this video. To create the offset letters, you need to convert the text to an outline shape in order to manipulate it in any way that you need to. To do this, select the text, right-click, and click Create Outlines. Next, click Object, then Path, and then Offset Path. The thickness of the letters are entirely up to you. You can adjust this number to explore the different sizes. Once you decide on the right outline for your letters, click Enter. As you can see, the letters are grouped together and we're going to need to separate them, so right-click and then click Ungroup. We need to group the offset letters together and the main letters in a separate group. There are 2 ways to go about this. The first, with the Shift button pressed down, click on each main letter until you have them all selected and click Ctrl G to group. Move them to the side and click and drag to select the offset letters and type Ctrl G to group them together. The second way is to select an empty space, click and drag to the bottom of the offset letters until only those are selected. Once you have those selected, type Ctrl G to group those together, move them to the side, click and drag to select the main letters, and Ctrl G again to group those. Now select the offset letters and notice the lines that overlap the other letters. If you send these letters to the laser exactly the way that they are, you will get a cut that overlaps and it'll be a complete disaster. With these letters selected, find the Pathfinder tool. You can find it by clicking Window, then Pathfinder, and then select Unite. Now it's one straight cut all the way, and then do the same with the main letters. I'm going to change the background letter to separate the 2 groups. Then I'll select both of the letter groups and align them to the center on both axes. If you want a different look to your sign, you can realign it any way you want, but be sure which way you want them to be displayed before adding the holes for the screws. The size of the holes will depend on the size of the screws. To determine what size you need, you'll need to cut a test board. To do this, make a square, and with the Shift button pressed down, make a circle of any size. With the circle selected, change the size by changing the number on the top right hand side. Make sure that the chain icon is selected so we can change the circle evenly. I made the first circle size 0.10. Duplicate this by pressing Shift Alt and then drag the circle. Change the size of that to 0.15. And then repeat that for other sizes like 0.18 and 0.22 and so on. Send this file to the laser and pass the screws through each hole until you find the right size. Once you found the right size, add that circle to each letter. This you can add to your liking. Once all of the holes are in place, select the entire file and duplicate it by pressing Shift Alt and then dragging the file down. On the original copy, select the main letters and delete them. Then click and drag to select the offset and the holes, and then Ctrl G to group them. On the copy, select the offset letters and delete them. Click and drag to select the main letters and the holes, and click Ctrl G to group them together. Now both files have the holes right where you need them to be in order to align. Do not edit this file after this point because you run the risk of them not aligning when you mount them. And there you have it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. I'm more than happy to help, and if I need to make another video, I will. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in our next adventure. Peace.